Well, hello everybody. Welcome to part 2 of my bottom bouncer making video. I'm outside, currently been working on a bunch of them. I'll show you what I got here. I have an 8-pound Lee production pot, currently got some lead in it. The base on it has been turned. It used to set out this way, but because of my bottom bouncers and how I want to make them, the wires stick out a little bit too far. I'm just going to put one in here to show you real quick. See, the wires stick out, they'd be hitting the base on the bottom, and I don't really want to have them bent over. So I turned the bottom around. It's altering it so it voids the warranty, but oh well. So what we need to do to start this process off, my mold is cooled down. We need to pour some lead in the molds here. Let that mold get warmed up. So then really all you have is 3 blank bottom bouncers without the wire on it. I'll just take them off, drop them back in my pot. And then we're ready to start pouring here. If you remember, I've got my little dimple on the wire that helps me get it lined up here. This mold is set up for a 41 thousandths inch diameter wire. These wire forms are 50 thousandths of an inch, so it's a little bit bigger than what the mold likes to handle. So I'm doing these one at a time. Makes it a little bit easier to get them in and out. Right there we have a brand shiny new 2-ounce bottom bouncer. Move on to the 2.5 in the mold. And it's just that simple. It cost me my time and everything. I figure I can sell these for, depending on the size, anywhere from $1 up to $2.20 or $1.25, somewhere around there. Like I said, it depends on the size and how much lead I'm having to put in there and all that stuff. I do have a catch pan underneath here. This number 3 bottom bouncer seems to like to leak a little bit coming out the bottom. This time it didn't. And I think that was probably because my mold was a little too hot earlier when I was pouring them. And sometimes they like to stick in the mold a little bit. I like to cool my weights down in water. I've heard that it helps to harden the lead up a little bit more. If it's not true, oh well, it just allows me to handle them easier, quicker. So I've got 2 more wires I've got to make. I'll get these made up and then I'll show you what I got to do with the rest of it. And if you noticed on these bottom bouncers, and again it's because it's a bigger wire, I got some flashing that comes out the side around the mold, around the cavity I should say, so I have to trim that all up. And that's not something that you want. You don't want that big gap in there. The wire came out of the groove, so I got to close it back down. It doesn't take long for these to cool down enough where you can open it up and pull them out. And you'd see me pull that wire back out. What I was doing was it had a little bit of a bend in it, so I was straightening it out so it so it sat in there a little bit better. And if you just saw there, lead started pouring out the bottom side here. That's why I have the catch pan underneath of it. I would recommend anybody pouring lead to do it in a long sleeve shirt. It's a little cool out, so I'm wearing a work sweatshirt. Wear long pants and shoes. That way you can avoid any injuries of hot lead. So I'm done pouring my lead. I'll turn my machine down a little bit. Grab some of these made up bottom bouncers, and I will show you what I do with that little bit of flashing here. Now these side cutters I bought, they are a flush face side cutter. These are standard side cutter, wire cutter. I'll show you the difference here. I gotta cut this nub off. Oops, that one went flying. But if you can see, it leaves a jagged edge. These flush face cutters, and I can go through and smooth this up here, leaves it a nice smooth edge. That way it's not catching on any grass that's under the water when you're trolling. See that? Nice smooth edge. So it's not gonna get hung up or anything and start dragging a bunch of grass or vegetation or whatever you've got in the lake. And then I also go through and trim up all that extra flashing that came out. Like I said, again, that was from using a larger wire than what that mold is capable of handling. So it just takes a little bit more time trimming these up here. But that there is the process that I have for making these bottom bouncers. I've never seen anybody post on YouTube or online on using a production pot to make these. Do It Corporation does have a video out there on YouTube where they show pouring these with a ladle. I didn't want to have to buy a ladle or a special ladle or anything like that just to make these bottom bouncers, so I adapted my production pot for it. But that's it in a nutshell. These things are pretty easy to make, and the initial cost of them, you can buy these molds, and again, these are Do It Corporation molds. I have one specific website. It's where I get all of my molds from, and it seems to be the cheapest around that I've seen. I get them for about $32 a mold. Do It Corporation and other websites, they are a little bit more expensive. So just like with anything, do a little bit of shopping and you might be able to save some money. The production pot I've got here, that cost about $80, and again, that was from the one place that I always buy all my molds from. That was the cheapest place that I'd found, and it works out. Some point in time I might step up the game a little bit and buy a 20-pound production pot, but I think on those ones I would have to turn the base around. Otherwise, what I might just end up doing is buying another 8-pound production pot here and just leave one set up for bottom bouncers and one set up for everything else. But until that time, I just turn it over, remove 4 screws, and away I go. Now, like I said, you know, changing the pot itself does void the warranty, but what is there for warranty besides the heating element, you know? So there's, you know, really not much danger. You just got to make sure you've got it secured tightly to your work platform so that you don't have it falling off and spilling into your lap. So it's all at you guys' precaution on what you want to do. If you're buying a production pot to do this, You know, I am not responsible for anybody having accidents. This is what I've done. I'm not telling you to do it. So for this video, that'll be it. I can't wait to get these out on the water and start using them. So until next time, catch you later.